And the member of the Huala basically reaches out to somebody else and says, hey, listen, you need to go pay party B X dollars. Now, there is no money actually transacted between member 1 and member 2 of this private community. They are merely trading in debt, the expectation being that they will later settle up any of the debt that has been created. The interesting thing about this is because no money is actually transacted, this is an extremely anonymous way to make transactions. Of course, finally, there's also good old Tony, and you'll have to pardon us, the volume is kind of low here.
And besides, with a bank, there's always tons of forms to be filled and all that shit. With old Tony, nothing to read, nothing to write.
Nothing to read, nothing to write. All right, so volume was a bit low. Hopefully you guys have all seen The Professional as well. If not, bear in mind you've got homework, right? You got to go out and watch Cloak and Dagger, and you got to go out and watch The Professional.
Okay, so now we get back to travel. You want to travel in disguise, and you want to wear hats, glasses, change your appearance, keep another form of appearance with you so you can continue to change in public if you need to. You're going to want to be very, very aware of camera location, security, surveillance. You want to avoid mass transit as much as possible, not entirely necessarily, but there's a lot of surveillance in mass transit, and you need to be aware of that. Again, unregistered vehicles at this point is our primary recommendation for travel. Greyhound will still work here, of course. However, an unregistered car, if you're careful. And then lastly, we've got the concept of a throwaway car. You have a 30-day lag on the requirement to register a vehicle in the US. So you can purchase a car, like a $300, $400 throwaway car, use it after 30 days, toss it, abandon it, and buy another one. Obviously a very expensive way to travel, but comparable to a $340 car lease. Rental car in case of emergencies is another option, but you need to be very, very aware of how much you're going to be identified. This needs to be an emergency getaway option only.
Why not register a vehicle with a New Mexico LLC? Because most states, at least many states, don't require SSNs, and there are states that don't. And the other thing you could also potentially do is get a 30-day tag with an RV and then go park it somewhere.
Right, which that's a good point. We did talk about it at the Cloak level. Yeah, but his second good point is registering a vehicle through your LLC, and as long as you don't have to give away a driver's license or ID.
Good point.
Thank you. So tracking. Here we say no GPS hardware, right? You cannot own your iPhone, you can't have a Google phone, a GPS device at all. There's no assumption to be made that just because you hit the disable button in your software that they didn't actually re-enable it and start tracking you. If there is hardware for tracking in the device, don't own it. You need to keep your cell phone off.
A lot of phones now, if you have GPS disabled, you call 911 for whatever reason, they will turn it on.
Perfect example. So if you're going to call 911, the phone will turn GPS on for you.
They'll be able to triangulate your general area anyways, even if you just have a cell phone.
Which is exactly the
Absolutely
second
correct.
point. You need to leave the cell phone off at all times except when making a call, and then turn it back off. And again, with a burner cell phone, you're going to be cycling through these phones on a fairly regular basis, so you don't. Hopefully, you're not going to be. People are not going to know your current phone number. Disabling Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 3G, 4G, whatever, same exact purposes. Miscellaneous electronic devices gets back to the concept, if you don't know the hardware that's in it, then don't own it. You need to be very confident that it does not have some sort of tracking device in it. RFID tag rule, same applies at the Cloak level, just apply it here too. And then if you're still feeling paranoid, you can put on the tinfoil hat. Telecom. So communications, we open up a couple of different options because of higher technical expectation at the Dagger level. VoIP is a good way to communicate with Z-Phone layered on top of it. You can either do the hosted or build your own routes with the VoIP. If you've got a friend's pre-BX, you can freak through it and bounce your calls around, right? For those of us who remember the Captain Crunch whistle. Usenet, IRC, make sure you're using off the record all the time. And then again, here we talk about encryption. Basically, you've got Z-Phone off the record. You can store your information in Stego and then post it on 4chan, right?
Also bear in mind that freaking your friends' PBXs may make them not your friends anymore.
But last point here on encryption is that something like PGP, anything using a PKI infrastructure that doesn't use it in a way that Z-Phone does, builds an identity and is a form of non-repudiation against your communication. So you want to stay away. You want to look at cipher, block encryption type of encryption.
Unless you're willing to build and throw away keys for every transaction, right? That's
Right.
if you're going to do public key crypto, you're going to need to generate and throw away or create very temporal keys in order to ensure that the keys themselves don't become identifying tokens.
Which is basically really complex cipher.
All right. Getting online at the Dagger level, again, here we're going to look at things like hotel lobbies, restaurants, free Wi-Fi. There's potential for use of prepaid SIMs for data purposes. You could even theoretically take apart a burner phone and rip the SIM out of that phone. In most cases, the prepaid SIMs are actually valid for data service. The cell phone providers simply don't tell you that, right? You can go and travel, you pick up a $20 pre-stored value SIM, you pop it into a little data card in your laptop, and you'll find you can get online, whether via 2G or 3G services provided by that same provider. If you're going to carry a laptop or a computer, something along the lines of something small and easy to get rid of or destroy, a la a netbook, is a good idea. You'll probably want to use something like PGP, WDE, whole disk encryption, or TrueCrypt to do encryption of the entire drive or SSD stored within that device in order to ensure that the data on that device is not easily retrieved and or recognizable. Further, again, at this level, we are going to require the use of Tor and proxies, right? You're not going to be able to get away with making these optional. You're going to have to use them in order to ensure the level of privacy or anonymity you're looking for.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can people track you through your gamer accounts, like for the PS3 and stuff?
So the question was, can people track you through your gamer accounts, for instance, for the PS3, et cetera? And the answer is absolutely. Right? This is, again, it's a service that is hosted by someone else, and the accounts you create, it's information that you're storing about yourself, and depending on the nature of the device and how much they publicize, there may or may not even really be knowledge of how much information they store, right? Are they watching the games you play? Are they watching how much time you spend playing the games? Again, it's dependent on the individual service and or the console that you're using, but the short answer to that is absolutely.
Yes.
Actually, encrypted drives are no longer valid because you can break into the grub part and just take out the stuff that encrypts the drive and still look at it.
All right, so the point was made that encrypted drives are not really as valid because theoretically you could strip the drive and basically take out the components that provide for the encryption. Let's say that whole disk encryption is not necessarily foolproof. However, it is still generally going to be much better when trying to protect your anonymity than carrying around an unencrypted laptop. So there are certainly degrees here of privacy and or anonymity that will be obtained. I see two hands.
Due to the use of wear leveling and such for SSDs, if you're really this paranoid, I'd recommend you actually use real physical providers because you can't tell where your data lives on an SSD, and they can disable wear level segments and it still has data in there. So you can wipe the SSD and there's still your data on it.
I think I saw that in Scott Moulton's talk. Awesome.
Quickly in the back. Okay. At any rate, encrypt it. It's not foolproof. TrueCrypt or software encryption is another option that at least I'm not aware of as being able to be broken, and they also incorporate plausible deniability. Okay, now we're at the hermit level, right? The most extreme. No ID. You don't want an ID, right? You don't want fingerprints. Glue them up, make new ones, burn them off, cut up all your cards, get rid of all your services, sell everything you own, terminate all your contracts, distance yourself from your family and friends, and then fake your own death. Live in a cave while you're at it.
All right. Making money at the hermit level, again, we've got a few opportunities here. We can do all of those same things before that we've done for cash. We also talk here a little bit about things like panhandling or potentially hooking. Street performers and carnies are possibilities here, right? Short term, again, transients, if you will. Of course, optimally, we'd not work. And or if you don't smoke too much pot, you can sell your blood, urine, semen, plasma, right? Whatever you got. Kidneys, livers. All right, using money at the hermit level, again, we're gonna stick pretty much to cash when possible. Bartering is also a possibility here via, say, flea markets, Craigslist, classifieds. Here's our guy trading a chicken. Free cycling is a possibility. Also, we're going to recommend self-sustainment, and quite honestly, we really wanted to go into more detail about truly getting off the grid and doing alternative energy, but given the time factor, we really just can't do the topic justice. So you guys want to get into V2.0 of this talk. Maybe next year we'll talk more about self-sustainment and living on your own means.
All right, we're going to try and speed it up here. We're running out of time. So travel, you walk, you bicycle, still Greyhound actually so far. Be a stowaway or don't travel. And again,